Summer, one of the most grueling sporting events, takes place in Europe. So the Tour de France takes place in Europe over 21 days. Professional cyclists will ride close to 4,500 kilometers over terrain that includes steep climbs over mountains and downhill drops, reaching speeds of 100 kilometers per hour. Cycling enthusiasts that watch the race are not only interested in the competition, they are also interested in viewing the latest road bicycles that enable a human to reach and maintain speeds of 50 to 55 kilometers per hour over a flat road surface. Think about what goes into creating these super fast road bicycles. What inputs do companies like Specialized and Giant use to create their bikes? There's a carbon fiber for the frame, metals for the chain and gears, and rubber for the wheels. There are technicians and engineers that design and create new models each year. There is money required to run the company and machinery to make the bikes. These inputs are called factors of production. The factors of production are labor, capital, technology, entrepreneurship, and natural resources. So in this module, you will learn about inputs and labor in particular. You will also learn about the distribution of income. So you're going to learn what determines the wages paid to workers, explain what the impact of hiring an additional worker does for revenue, describe what the shapes of the labor demand and supply curves are, describe why labor unions exist and how they impact wages and productivity, explain what the trend in income distribution has been, and explain why there's inequality in income distribution. So I recommend watching these videos. So watch the Khan Academy videos. Khan Academy is one of the best, I'd say, in my opinion, the best educator on math, economics, business out there. And then there is a video here on poverty in Canada. And then do the chapter exercises. So do the textbook questions, do the mind tap questions, and also read the recommended readings in the course calendar. So I recommend doing all that. So for this, why do basketball players make more money than hockey players? Why do hockey players make more money than scientists trying to rid the world of disease? So the answer for this is based on the demand for what these people produce. Basketball players produce a product for which there's more demand than the product produced by hockey players. So the market for basketball is significantly larger than the market for hockey. That's why the salaries paid to basketball players are much higher than salaries paid to hockey players. So do hockey players therefore produce a product in more demand than the product scientists produce to cure diseases? Based on the difference in salary, the consumer demand for hockey is greater than the consumer demand for cures and diseases. So the market for basketball, it's very large. So the basketball market, so they produce about 11.24 billion US in revenue per year. So it's a very large market, and that's why players can make $50 million a year in that market, while like the hockey demand market, it's about 1.2 billion. So the difference between the basketball market is 10 times larger than the hockey market. That's why the salaries in basketball are much higher. So but if there was an epidemic or pandemic, there would be a very high demand for that product, as we saw in the pandemic that we saw with COVID. So that would produce a lot more demand for products in the pandemic market. So labor market equilibrium, is there much difference really in the command system and market system and how career choices are made by people? In a pure command system, one could argue that if the government needed bricklayers to build infrastructure, then talented athletes might not be able to live their dreams, becoming construction workers instead of high jumpers, downhill skiers, or soccer players. On the other hand, in the market system, people are free to choose their occupation. However, the reality of the market curbs that freedom. So when the quantity of labor demanded equals the quantity of labor supplied, wage rate is determined at the equilibrium. As more labor is supplied without an equal increase in demand, more people are willing to accept a lower wage. If people are unwilling to change their occupation, the equilibrium wage will decrease to the point where people will give up their dreams for occupations that can better help them survive. Of course, in a market system, workers can choose themselves the occupations they wish to pursue. They can choose to be an artist. So also if demand for the product declines, so will its price and labor wage. So monopoly is a single seller of a product. A monopsony is a single buyer of the product. So with how a monopsony works is when there's one employer in a town. So maybe there's a mine in a town. So people go to work at that mine. Maybe they're digging coal, maybe they're trying to drill for oil, those types of things. And then when the mine shuts down, people don't have a job. So that's how it works. There might be one employer in the city or town, and then when that shuts down, people are all out of work. So that's how monopsony works. And then monopoly is a single seller of a product. So one big example of monopoly would be Amazon. So Amazon really owns almost all the market for e-commerce. So they're a single seller of e-commerce products. The other competitors in the e-commerce market are much smaller. They still are there, but Amazon owns a large percentage of the market. So as manufacturing moves out of North America, Canada and the US are dealing with the decline of monopsonies, particularly in small towns. So it's like the mine shuts down in a small town, a factory shuts down in a small town, and then people are all out of work. So a clear example of monopsony is existence of a single employer or the employer of most citizens within a local vicinity. A large manufacturing company situated in a town where 80% of the adults work for the company is monopsony. As companies are either moving manufacturing overseas or closing due to overseas competition, vast number of layoffs are causing the demise of these towns. This can occur within an industry. As the auto industry cycles through good times and bad, during the bad times, cities like Oshawa, Windsor, and Detroit experience rapid increases in unemployment because those towns, Oshawa, Windsor, and Detroit, they are dominated by auto plants. So if the auto plants shut down, most people are out of work. So income distribution, it's been stable since 1951 based on stats. So but the data shows a rise in the proportion of income distributed to the top quintile. The data has also shown a rise in the number of lower income earners, hence the middle income earners or the middle class is beginning to shrink. So we want more middle class earners, but however, that's not happening. So people are becoming more impoverished, which is not what we want. We want more people in the middle class. We want more people being able to afford groceries, houses, but that's not happening, unfortunately. Poverty, the rich could either pay for those less fortunate up front or to clean up from those less fortunate. What does that mean? Policies are in place to help people out of work or in fortunate situations get them back on their feet. There are government programs that greatly subsidize the cost for people to learn a new skill and support it until they find a job. A large proportion of this is paid by the higher taxes paid by those who have more. If the rich were not taxed as high and these programs did not exist, what would be the result of people not being helped who need help? There would certainly be an increase in crime. With an increase in crime comes to an increase in costs and policing, legal formalities, and jails. Who will pay for that? Those that have more will. So would you rather pay more money to help others that become more productive, from which you also benefit from that productivity? Would you rather experience a higher rate of crime, pay to claim that crime? The answer is fairly obvious. Poverty is a reality, but the more a nation can do is minimize the level of poverty, the more productive the nation will be and the less crime it will experience. So learning activities. So I recommend do the textbook questions, do the mind type activities, do assignment 3. So you learned about the factors of production and labor as an input market. You've learned about the price of labor and the effect of labor unions and distribution of income and poverty in Canada.